crafters, I'm JanB and I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator. Today I'd like to show you how I made this. It's a little gift pouch that contains a chocolate, and this is what I made as my swaps for the Stampin' Up OnStage Local Convention in Telford yesterday. I made 100 of these. Also, for the month of November, I'm running a prize draw for all my online customers. The prize is for one of our scoreboards. So for the month of November, all my projects will be using the scoreboard. Full details of the prize draw I'll give you at the end of the video. Okay, so to start off with, the card pieces that you're going to need for this project. You need a piece of Designer Series paper, and this one is from Candy Cane Lane Designer Series paper, and this measures 6 inches by 6 inches or 15 by 15 centimetres. You'll need a piece of real red cardstock which measures approximately 5 inches by 3 1/4, and that is 12.5 by 8.25 centimetres. And a piece of Whisper White which is 3 1/2 inches by 2 inches, which is approximately 8.75 by 5 centimetres. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do making the pouch, and then I'll do the Santa Claus, then I'll do the die cutting, and then I'll put it all together. Okay, so first of all, the scoring. This is the scoreboard that's going to, not this particular one, but this is the same as the scoreboard that I am giving as a prize for this month. So what you need to do with your Designer Series paper, first of all of our paper has 2 designs on it. I do my scoring on the reverse side. This is the side I want on the outside. But check the design on both sides. If you've got one that needs to go up the right way, make sure it's up the right way here. Even if it's going on the inside, say that one was on the inside, you know, you probably don't want it to be upside. Although you can't see much of it, you can see some of it. So do make sure it's going up the right way. So I'm going to score on the reverse side. And you need to score first of all at 1 3/4 inches, and when you score on Designer Series paper, use the large end of your score tool, and also don't press very hard because this is heavy quality paper, but if you go too hard it will go straight through it. Okay, so first of all 1 3/4 inches, which is 4.5 centimetres. And then at 4 1/2 inches, which is 11.5 centimetres, and then turn that to the left 90 degrees, and then score it at 5 1/2 inches, which is 14 centimetres. So that's all we need our scoreboard for. And I normally find it's best to fold before I do my cutting. And if you find that you've been too gentle with your score line and you're not sure where to fold it, just slide your finger up to fill the crease there, and then use your fingernails to help you bend it. It's much better to do it that way than score it too hard because your paper will split. Okay, so run your fingernail to find your groove, and then you can fold it. Now we're going to cut off these 2 tiny sections at the bottom here. When you're cutting on this piece here, it's best to cut all of the score off. Okay, I'll show you why when we get to the bit. Okay, so that goes up to that score line, and here I cut just to the onto the inside of the score line. So my score line has been cut off here, okay, and again just to the inside of that score line so that it's going to be cut off on here, and again cut the score line off there, okay. Now what we need to do is, if you close it up with the Project Life corner rounder, with those closed in there, put this in. You can do it from either way, from the back, or you can do it from the front, whichever way you find easiest. I prefer to do it from the back. I don't think it makes any difference, I just feel more comfortable seeing that it's gone through there properly. Okay, so now we need to put some tear and tape on here, and if you do it so that you've got the tab part down that side, then you'll need to put your tearing tape on this side, just down to the end. I'll lift those scissors over there. And then you need to put a piece down here as well. Okay, so first of all I'm going to lift this piece up. You can't see what I've done with my paper piercer. I'm glad I haven't got to do too much of this. Right, so there's that one. So fold this side over first, and then this side over, and you'll find that your seam is almost in the centre there. Not quite, but close enough. Now the reason why I said to cut the score line off is because when you fold that, like I haven't done it quite enough on that side, can you see that? I've cut more off on one side than the other. But you now need to fold that one over, and if you haven't cut it high enough, you're going to have to give it a bit of a squash down. So rather than having to squash it, what I'm going to do is just cut that piece off. There we go. That's better. Right, now let's remove this. There we go. And then just fold that up. Okay. So that's your pouch. The only other thing we need are two holes here to put our tape through, our baker's twine through. And the way I do that is I have a little template that I've made, and I have made so many. My hole has been getting bigger and bigger and bigger. It should be like that, because I keep getting it slightly out of place. The way I decide how to do this, you see what I do is basically I put it on there, and then when I put my hole punch, I know where to do it, okay? So how I decide this is I take a scrap of real red, and this measures 2 3/4 inches. Right, so can you see my, yes you can see them. So what I do, I put that halfway between the 8 and the 5, so I know it's halfway right in between there. And then what I do is I mark at an inch, the 7" rather, and then one at the 6". And then I've got, because this should be 1 inch, it's a bit over, that should be halfway, and that should be halfway. So with my ruler I can now join those 2 marks, and then with these 2 I'm just going to eyeball them. Okay, I have already got some stamping on the back there, so ignore that. So that's how I've done that. And then, because you can see where your cutting prong is actually going, you can punch that hole quite easily. Okay, so let's save that one. So you can just lay that on there, make sure it's straight down here, and then you get the cutting prong to go through the hole. But trust me, when you've done 98 of these, you do get a little bit less careful, shall I say. There we go. Alright, so that's good. Okay, so that's that bit. Now I'm going to do the Father Christmas. Okay, let's leave him there. And what I'm going to use here is the stamp set is called Cookie Cutter Christmas, and I'm going to use this one. I could have made life a lot easier for myself and just do the gingerbread man, because he doesn't need any colouring, but I really like this Father Christmas. I'm going to be using our Archival black ink. I'm in a little bit of a mess here because I have been making these all day, which is why some of my bits are here and some bits aren't here, like my paper piercer. Right, so put Father Christmas there, and the size of paper I've given you here, I've done it so that you've got enough up here to hold when it goes into the punch. And you also need the little pom-pom, and I'm just going to pop that down there because I will punch that out first. If you decide you want to make lots of these, like I have on a conveyor belt type thing, what you need is a template like that, because when you're punching them out with this punch you've got lots of other bits and pieces. Okay, so when you punch you have to be careful that these aren't too close to each other, otherwise you go along and you're cutting his hands off. Trust me, I know about that one. So what you need is a piece of cardstock. Now this is a sheet about A4 and it just needs to be 2 1/4. This is the last piece, which is 3 1/4. What you need to do is, if you stamp the first one here, I'm not going to do it because I don't need any more. Okay, so that's the first one. Then you take another one, stamp another one, punch him out. Just do those on 2 separate scraps of paper. And then to know where, what I do with this is I just put a pencil mark up there, which is the centre of his head approximately. And then for this one I leave 3/4 of an inch between the end of this punch and the end of that punch, which is about there. And then I put a pencil mark up there, so that's going to be the centre of that head. Then I move this one along, leave another 3/4 of an inch, and then keep going until you get to the end. So you'll finish up with something like this. You see my pencil marks. And then once you've finished with one line where they're all punched out, you can use that as your template. You don't have to keep going through this. Okay, what you would just do is you just take your piece of paper, put it right near the top, and just draw your pencil lines. In fact, that one's started off a bit further in, but that's okay because of that. Alright, so that's how that works out. Just in case you want to do mass production for your Christmas cards, or if you're doing swaps or something. Right, so I'm going to colour Father Christmas in using my marker pens. So with the Real Red, I am going to do his hat. And his jacket, not the cuffs, and I don't do the centre bit either. It could be red, but I leave mine as white, as if it's part of the fur trim. Painting all of these would have been a lot easier if I'd considered it to be red. But as I say, I do like Father Christmas. There's that little bit in there, and then just his trousers. Again, I take the bit at the bottom as a white fur trim. Oops. A little bit of white fur trim with a touch of red in it, and then I do his gloves using basic grey. I don't like black because it's just too dark and it means you lose any detail. Like on the buckle, or at least the belt, you would lose that little arrow part, the tab of the belt. And likewise with the boots, you would lose that little bit of impression there. Okay, and then you need a flesh coloured pen, and I'm using the retired Blush Blossom, which I would really like to see Stampin' Up bring it back, but I think, oh, my black's not very dry on this, is it? That's smudged slightly because the black does take a little while to dry. Previously it's been okay because I've been stamping so many by the time I get back to the beginning again. Oh well, that's alright. He just looks more robust, shall we say. Right, so that's him all done, and I'm going to punch him out, but first of all I'm going to do the little pom-pom, and that's just one of these large circles. Okay, so that's that. And then Father Christmas goes in like this. As I say, I left you enough paper at the top there to be able to cut him. Okay. So I need now to do the dazzling diamonds. I do like my glitter, and that pom-pom needs to be stuck on his hat as well. Any kind of wet glue will work for this. And the pom-pom goes wherever you think it looks right. is running out. So I do the pom-pom, his beard, moustache, the fur trim around his hat, the cuff on his sleeves, the front panel that comes down his jacket, the fur trim on his jacket at the bottom, and the trim around his trousers. Put a lot of glue on there and hope the dazzling details will cover up where I've got a little bit astray. Right, now I'm going to give Father Christmas a good dunking. There we go. So he looks good. In case you're wondering what that little thing is that I pop into my dazzling diamonds, it's one of those little things that you get in shoes or handbags that helps to keep them dry, and it helps to keep the keeps your powder dry as well. Right, so that's that done. So now I just need to do the die cutting. So let me bring my big shot up. I'm using the layering oval framelits. I'm using the number 5. For this set you get one complete set of straight cuts and you get one complete set of scallops, and they're called layering oval framelits. And I start labelling mine, numbering them from the bottom, so the smaller the die, smaller the number, and this one works out to be number 5. So I'm putting that on there. I'm also using For You, and this is from the Mini Treat bag thinlits. Now on this one I have found that it is better if you use a bit of wax paper. There we go. So that one pops out very, very easily, just as you would expect. And this one, it does come out nice and easy. Nothing fancy about this. In fact, I really do need my paper piercer. Oh, there it is. I've got it. Okay. In fact, let me move this out of the way before I remove all that. Okay. So I push out the 4 funny shapes first. Well, funny shapes. 2 funny shapes and the ovals. And then I go for the top of the F and push those. And you find they'll start coming down very nicely. Okay, so that's all off there. If you're a regular to watching my videos, you'll know that I don't like these hairy bits on my dies, on my die cuts rather. And I've never seen anybody else say anything about them on their videos. So I've always thought that, crikey, am I the only one? But no, I'm not. Somebody wrote a question on a Facebook group that I belong to the other day, and it provoked quite a lot of response. A lot of people were saying that they had this problem. Nobody came up with a sensible answer apart from using a stiff brush like I do. There were different suggestions that people came up with. Somebody suggested that maybe it could be because you're going backwards and forwards through the big shot, but as you saw I didn't, I only went through them once. I mean, you know, use a stiff brush and it comes up beautiful. Let's just brush that off over there. Right, okay, let's continue. So these are my pieces. I'm going to glue these, and this is where my friend Tombo comes in. So that's for you. And then for Santa, I do a little bit on his pom-pom, and then in and out, up and down his arms and legs. And then I pop him in the centre. He does actually fit onto the smaller scallop circle, number 4. I just thought it looked a bit tight. Now I don't put him on just yet. I do the baker's twine first. So there we go. Alright. So all I need to do now is to put the baker's twine in, and I understand it now comes on a roll rather than this, and on a roll you don't get these crease marks. Now I take about 10 inches of this, which is probably more than is needed, which is about 25 centimetres. But if you do use any kind of ribbon or baker's twine where you get this, the easy way to remove it is if you take something wet. I mean, you could just lick your fingers and do it, but I don't think it's nice if you're putting food into something, like I'm going to be putting chocolate in there. So I take a baby wipe and just pull it through, and it takes the worst of the crease out. Where's that one gone? In fact, that one's really gone. So it makes it smell nice too. Right, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to put my chocolate in here. Also, I'm going to pop one of these in, because it'll be an extra one for... Oh no, that's no good, is it? Oh yes it is. I was going to say it'll be an extra one of my swaps, but I'm making the video before the event. So we have to put inside with our swaps our recipe. Not so much recipe, but more our ingredients, so that if anybody else wants to make it, they know what's being used. Okay, so I just threaded that through. And tie this into a bow. Finger just slid off of that, didn't it? Right, now stay put. Doing these bows doesn't get any easier, no matter how many you do. Right, okay, no, that's fine. I always have a look down here. If that's closed, then I'm happy with the bow. And when I first started doing these, I also punched a hole here, put another piece of baker's twine through and tied it up there. But I gave up on that because it was just taking me far too long. So what I do now is, I hope I don't run out because I know that I'm getting towards the end of this. I put 3 blue dots on the back. Oh, that's it. I think this might be the last 3. Oh, not quite. Okay. So there we go. That's another swap for Telford, which by the time you're watching this will already have been given to somebody and probably chocolate eaten and enjoyed, I hope. Right, okay, the prize draw that I'm running for my online customers during November is for every £50 of orders that you put in, your name will go into a prize draw, and on the 1st of December I will draw a winner and they will win one of our scoreboards. Stampin' Up rules, I'm afraid I can only make this offer to people in the European market, which is the UK, Netherlands, Germany, France and Austria. I'm sorry about that. If it was up to me, I would do the whole wide world, but obviously Stampin' Up have to take into account laws and everything of other countries, so that's it. But if you want to take part in that, please place your orders. The button for my shop, my 24/7 online Stampin' Up shop, is in the box below. If you just click on show more, that opens up the box and it gives all the details down there. Many thanks for watching my video today. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have any questions, please send me an email to janb@janbcards.com or leave a note in the comments box below. I'm always happy to help you. I will put all the measurements and the products that I've used, I'll put all the details on the screen, but if you can't see them because of the device you're watching on, they will all be in the box below as well. If you'd like to purchase any of the products that I've featured here today, apart from the chocolate of course, please visit my 24/7 online Stampin' Up shop. If you've enjoyed my video, please subscribe to my YouTube channel by clicking on the subscribe button. If you've seen my 2 earlier videos, you will have heard that my 47 of my videos had been hijacked by somebody, but I'm really pleased to say that his account has been closed down by YouTube now, so big thanks to YouTube. Many thanks for joining me today. Until next time, happy crafting. Cheerio.